So today I want to talk to you about human trafficking. And we're going to start with a typical scene downtown. We can just imagine the fun atmosphere full of light and laughter, restaurants, movie theaters, shops, clubs. But when we take a deeper look, there's more going on than what we generally see firsthand. Today I want to educate you on this very real issue and what we can do to help those affected while working together to end it. Believe it or not, even some of the simple things that we do can really have a great impact on this. Learning some very real, surprising facts can change our perspectives, make us more aware, and lead us to action. So let's start with defining human trafficking. The technical definition of human trafficking is the recruitment, transportation, transfer, harboring, or receipt of persons by means of coercion, abduction, fraud, deception, or abuse of power, a position of vulnerability for the purpose of exploitation. Human trafficking is modern-day slavery. Usually victims are exploited for commercial, sex, or labor purposes, but there are a variety of reasons for human trafficking, including, but not limited to, garnering soldiers, suicide bombers, selling babies on the black market, and even organ harvesting. I'll name some facts about human trafficking and then move on to how to recognize victims and what we can do about it. There are an estimated 27 million adults and 13 million children around the world who are victims of human trafficking. Approximately 75 to 80% of human trafficking is for sex. Researchers estimate that more than 80% of trafficking victims are female and over 50% are children. An estimated 30,000 victims of sex trafficking die each year from abuse, disease, torture, and neglect. 80% of those sold in slavery are under 24, and some are as young as 6 years old. In all 50 states and some U.S. territories, there have been cases reported of human trafficking. Human trafficking victims suffer severe physical and psychological harm, but due to language barriers, lack of knowledge about available services, fear of retribution, as well as fear of authorities, and the frequency with which human traffickers move victims, catching perpetrators and victims is very difficult. According to the U.S. State Department, human trafficking is one of the greatest human rights challenges of this century, both in the United States and around the world. There are now more human slaves in the world today than ever before. People are sold, abused, and discarded as items rather than valuable human beings. So where are victims found? For sex trafficking, victims are found in streets or working establishments that offer commercial sex acts. Examples of this are brothels, strip clubs, pornography production houses, etc. These establishments often operate under another purpose, and that would be, for an example, like massage parlors, escort services, adult bookstores, modeling studios, bars, and strip clubs. For labor trafficking, otherwise called indentured servitude, victims can be found in sweatshops where there are abusive labor standards, commercial agricultural situations such as fields, processing plants, and canneries, domestic situations such as maids and nannies, construction sites, particularly where public access is denied, restaurant and custodial work. What are some signs someone might be a victim of human trafficking? Well, they may show signs of physical and/or sexual abuse, physical restraint, confinement, or torture. They may express emotions that are fearful, anxious, depressed, submissive, tense, and nervous, or paranoid, especially after bringing up law enforcement. They are not allowed to or able to speak for themselves. A third party may insist on being present or translating. They may own few or no personal possessions. Their story usually has a lot of inconsistencies. They are not in control of their own identification documents, such as an ID or passport. They may claim they are just visiting and be unable to clarify where they're staying or what their address is. So what are some signs of human trafficking involvement? Well, there's going to be some heavy security, and that could be in the form of barred windows, locked doors, isolated location, electronic surveillance, and even women who are never seen leaving the premises unless escorted. Victims live at the same premises as the brothel or work site and are driven between quarters and work by a guard. For labor trafficking, victims are often prohibited from leaving the worksite, which may look like a guarded compound from the outside. Victims are kept under surveillance when taken to a doctor, hospital, or clinic for treatment, and the trafficker may act as a translator or guardian in some cases. High-foot traffic, especially for brothels, where traffic victims are located, can be indicated often by a stream of men arriving and leaving the premises. So what is being done about this, and how can we get involved? Education of the public as a whole and specific training for emergency and medical personnel, teachers, counselors, etc. is really important. Also, educating students, children, teenagers on vulnerabilities and common factors that could put them in a compromising situation. That's very important. Hotlines are also being established for reporting cases, whether that be the victim themselves reporting a case or somebody that just suspects that something's going on. The Polaris Project has that number that's listed on their website, and it's 1-888-373-7888. Or you can text Be Free, which is 233-733. Community outreach and training is not only in the U.S. cities, but worldwide, and that's being established everywhere. People are also using their talents to raise awareness and funds for organizations to help fight human trafficking. There's a lot of neat concerts and art all over the place, and it's really neat to see. As awareness grows, people are avoiding actions that once helped the industry continue growing. This includes no longer going to strip clubs or adult services, refusing to watch or purchase pornography, and some people may refuse to purchase products from companies that are known or suspected for forced labor. The less demand there is, the closer we are to ending the problem. Just like there's a carbon footprint, in a sense there's a human trafficking footprint also. There are a lot of resources, so I couldn't possibly name them all, but I'm going to name a few that are really great. One is A21 campaign. Another is Polaris Project. They have a lot of great facts on their website. Rescue Her is an organization based out of Texas, and Purchased with the Hub is a local ministry in Shreveport, Louisiana. An amazing movie that really portrays the facts of human trafficking. It's based on a true story. It's called Trade, and I would definitely recommend it. It's very difficult to watch, but it is an extremely good movie and will help educate on the facts of human trafficking. Another thing is this book right here, Undaunted. It's written by Christine Caine, the founder of A21 campaign, and it is very inspirational and just really very moving, and it helps call people to action on this. So in conclusion, I've taught you what human trafficking is, kind of given you some warning signs, and shown you some resources. So let's go back to that scene downtown. Now that you know the facts of human trafficking, we can kind of take a look deeper, and we can see the women dancing in the clubs. They may not be there by choice. And we can look a little closer and kind of see the warning signs on that. And also, we can kind of see in the stores, recognize that a lot of times they have missing persons signs up, and that can be an indicator as well. So now that we know, we can kind of change our perspective and change our actions. So someone once said that knowledge is power, and if you want to change the world, start with you. So whether it's no longer supporting the things that would feed into human trafficking, or it's getting educated and trained and kind of getting involved in the community, I definitely encourage you guys to get involved and help stop this.